Welcome to the Freelance Writing Podcast, hosted by Melanie Green. In this space, we'll discuss freelance writing and all of the challenges that comes with running this type of business. In this episode, we're going to discuss hosting your portfolio online so that clients can see it. I really wanted to discuss something that happened recently to me and a lot of other freelance writers and use it as a learning opportunity to really discuss what we should do going forward. So I woke up and a client had reached out to me that they'd like to work together. They asked me to send them 2 to 3 samples from my portfolio that best represented the work that they're looking for. It's a really common request. So instead of sending the link to my whole portfolio, which I've hosted on Contently for many years, I attempted to open my Contently portfolio only to realize that in November of 2023, they had removed that as an option. And so I have been sending this link to clients for probably a few weeks now, and it has not been accessible to them. They could not see anything from the link. It just went back to their Contently page. I have no problems with Contently. I have had my portfolio hosted with Contently for about at least 8 or 9 years. And so it's been a really cool platform. In fact, a lot of the links that it used to go to from my portfolio, the websites have gone under, but Contently has still been there. So it's been a really interesting platform. But that being said, I should never have put all the links to this portfolio into this Contently site, as now I have to reconstruct this writing portfolio into another site. So as I'm starting to do this and navigating the process of creating another portfolio, I question why I never self-hosted my writing portfolio. I have a website. In this case, it's melaniegreen.info, only because .com wasn't available 13 years ago or so when I went to buy it. Anyway, I don't have a portfolio there, not to all the work that I've done. And so as I'm going through this, I think I really want to remind writers that it's really important to own where your portfolio is. So it's true there are websites that you can pay $100 a year and have a portfolio, but you can also have a website for that. And so what I want to encourage writers is really to go ahead and get their own website. Why not, right? Why not? And so I'm in the process of creating a page on my website that's just portfolio. And when I submit portfolio samples to clients, I'm just going to give them that link. Another option, I think it's good as a backup if your website goes down too, for some reason, if there's a delay or a maintenance problem, is to have just a Google sheet with the name of the article, the link, the source, and the category. And I realized by adding this category, if a client, say, wants to have a specific sample for finance, I can just isolate those finance samples and send that to them. So I'm going to go ahead and do both. I'm going to have a Google sheet with all of the links that I usually send out as portfolio samples. By doing that, I can actually start to have different pieces that are maybe Google Docs that are ghostwritten pieces there. With Contently, I really only put links that were bylined. So these are pieces that had my name attached to them publicly. But I think going forward, if I'm going to have a Google sheet where I just put all of the links, I'm going to go ahead and use some other things like the Google Docs links to other pieces. The other thing I really wanted to kind of discuss was really focusing on how many you need to get started, how many do you need to have total in your portfolio. The reality is a client is not going to click on 200 links from you. They're not going to see every piece that you've ever written. So I like to say 7. 7 is probably the most realistic number that people will look through. Ideally, these are going to be 7 pieces that closely relate to the work that you're applying for. So it's a website about food and recipes, so you send them 7 articles about food and recipes, and that would be the ideal situation. I would say bylined pieces are always usually better than ghostwritten pieces, although most of the work that I personally do is ghostwritten, so that's a little bit more challenging. In my Contently portfolio, I had about 300 bylined pieces. Now that's not all of them, but at least the ones that I spent the time to upload. If you're just getting started as a freelance writer, I would say aim for 3. And you don't want those on your website, meaning you don't want them to be 3 blogs on your website. Instead, I would aim to publish those on websites like LinkedIn and Medium and BuzzFeed, where you can create an account and you can post an article. And then you can share the link for your LinkedIn article or your Medium article as your portfolio. A client that might be a little bit hesitant about clicking on a link to something they don't know, such as your website, is probably already on LinkedIn. And so they'll be very likely to go ahead and open that. Thanks for spending some time with me discussing freelance writing. If you'd like to connect with me further, please feel free to reach me at my website at www.melaniegreen.info.